Hello webpage students, and welcome to tutorial number 10. This is our fourth installment of CSS, or styling our web page. And your web page should look like this. You should have the shares design, the banner, your content, your social media icons inline, and then you should have your links. Now, when we left off last time, my tutorial didn't look like that. I had changed my link colors so they were orange. I actually went back and fixed it. And if you remember, when I scrolled down to this part of the content, it was all messed up. This div went all the way across. I had an ending div tag that wasn't closed that made the mistake like that. So the frustrating thing about web design is one small mistake or space or missing character can throw your whole web design for a loop. So if you have problems, don't get frustrated. Just take a step back and try and solve them. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to work with descendant selectors. And one of the first things that we need to do is, as we scroll in, is we want to make sure that our links are done correctly. Up here in text elements, as you can see, you have some text that we typed in earlier, and you should have these colors for your various links. And I went in and I played with my colors and I changed it. But these are the standard colors for links that you hover over, that you visited, that are active. The focus deals with the keyboard focus, which is the difference between using your keyboard and your mouse. You don't really need to worry about that one, other than the fact that you copy it exactly as I have it here. And the hover link is when you hover over your links, and that's the color for that. So make sure that those colors are the same. They're on that little worksheet that I gave you, because we're going to actually go ahead and use that a little bit later. Now you can see we left off where we cleared both items from the top nav, and I'm going to go into this split view. Remember, when we originally, I'm in live view, I'm going to go to our regular view in Dreamweaver, and you can see where these divs are going ahead, and they're around the elements of the logo, the other social media icons, and we had to clear both that div for the logo and the social media icons div, which is over here, to have our menu down here where we can see it. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to work on this top nav, and I'm actually going to paste what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you what it should look like. We'll go over into design view, and you can see, I'll take this off, and you can see it in live view, that so far we have each one of our links in the colors that they should be red and blue across our navigation menu. Now, if I go back over into split view, I want to explain explain what I did and why I copied it in. When I was practicing these tutorials, I had originally had the top nav, and we cleared both, and I was on this first section of the unordered list. This goes into this descendant selector thing that I'm going to explain to you. If you I'm actually going to explain it now. Now remember, this top nav refers over here to our source code, and we're going to go actually into the source code of the top nav, and you can see up here you have the ID of the top nav, which is our selector. We've selected this whole thing right in here. I'm going to highlight the whole thing that we selected, and you can see it has an unordered list, a list item, and then a link. Those are called descendant selectors, kind of like, well, not kind of like, but exactly like your family tree. You are a descendant of this person and that person and that person. That's your lineage. And the same thing with your top nav. You have the top nav, your unordered list, your list items, then your link. So let's go back over into the CSS style sheet I'm going to go into split view so you can kind of see what was going on. And we'll scroll back down into our container that we're going to work on with the top nav. We've cleared both from the last time, and we put a border on the top of the 1 pixel, so it's right up here, and it's in black, and it's a solid color. Borders can be dashed and have other designs, but we want it specifically solid this time. And then we put a border on the bottom, and when I originally did this, I had a space between the pixels and my number 1, and I'm going to show you as I refresh, and hopefully it'll, yep, that'll do it. I'm like, what is wrong with this? I have everything typed correctly, but I had that one little space, and I'll refresh it and bring the border back. And that's how frustrating coding can be sometimes. So please make sure that you take a minute, stop, and recheck your code if you're having problems. Now, this margin is 20 pixels. That is on the outside of the top nav. If we made it 200, I'm going to see that you can't see what was underneath it. And that's the outside of the top nav. I'm going to take it back and make it 20. I'm going to just delete one of those zeros, and then I'll refresh it, and you can see that margin of 20 pixels on the top, or 200 on the top and the bottom, really made a difference. And then the padding is what is inside. Remember, margin is the outside of the nav div, and padding is in the inside. So if we change that from 10 pixels to 100, and we refresh, you can see how much bigger that became, and we'll just save it back to where it was. So margin on the outside and padding on the inside. Now, you're displaying them inline, which, if you remember back as I scroll over here, that's the exact same thing you did with your social media icons. So we're going to display them inline, and then you're going to meaning the list items. So you're displaying the list items: home, about, products, link, product, services, and contacts. All your links are going to be displayed inline, and then you are going to give it padding of 0 from top to bottom and 15 pixels from left to right. So meaning that they're about 15 pixels apart. If I change this, you won't be able to see all of this, it'll bump it down. If we add another 0 and I change that to 150 pixels, that totally messed everything up. Put them in multiple lines, and I'm going to take it back and keep it there. Now, this is our slider, which we have a margin of, this is our banner that I actually left in here. We have a margin of 30 pixels. If I change it to 10 pixels, putting a margin on the bottom, it's just giving us the space here, and you can see that that's much smaller of a space. I like that 30 pixel space, so I'm going to keep that in there. So we gave our slider, or our banner, you can refer to it either. I have it in a slider because it's going to slide other images eventually, and I'm going to leave it in there, but this is like our banner div, or slider div is what I've called it. So you will have your banner for that particular page. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to do, and the next thing that we need to do is we need to change the colors of our links. So what I want you to do is to go back up into our text elements, and you're going to just simply Control-C and copy all of those links, and then you're going to go down here under the top nav, and you're going to paste those links in there. And what you'll do is then copy top nav, Control-C, and then you're going to go Control-V, give yourself some space, tab it over, okay, and then you'll tab everything over, And then we're going to change, the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to change these colors. So yeah, I always like to keep everything even, because then if you have mistakes like I had, they're a little bit easier to spot. Now, for the link color, I want to make it black. And then I want to also keep the visited link black, so it doesn't change color after you've visited it. The same with active. The keyboard focus will be the same. And then the last thing I want to do is change the hover color. You could do it a couple of different ways. You can click on the color. If you type in color, that'll bring up this color menu. And F90, I want this nice little orange color. Put my semicolon in and tab that over. Oh, one too many spaces. And then I'm just going to update all of my things, and you can see as I hover over that, we've changed the colors of our link. Okay, there are two quick things that we need to do on this tutorial before we finish up. I know that it's gotten really long, but we need to position the width of the content div to 650 pixels, and we want to float left, and then we also want to change the width of the right side div to approximately 200 pixels, and we want to float that right. Okay, I'm going to go back here and
hello. Hi, Sittler.
sorry about that, Mr. Bastos had stuck in for a minute. But we want to make sure that you format the content div or the content selector and the right side selector. And then finally with the footer, you're going to need to clear both of those things. Then that way the footer will be positioned where it needs to be. I'm sorry I wasn't able to show you what it looked like when it was wrong, but I'm going to go into design view and show you what the finished product should look like. This should be over here. We might need to adjust this a little bit in the next one, and then the copyright or the footer should be down here. So good luck, and we'll pick up where we left off in the next tutorial.